Hey everybody, we're back once again. Three old friends, music never ends. I was about to say issue. I read too many comics. Number 53, 52, 52, 53,
53.
53. I just said it and I already forgot. So there you go. Issue number 53. There, I'll still keep it with the comics. And this topic, I was gonna say this week, but I guess it is this week. This playlist is money. We all love it. We all need it. We all hate it. We all despise it. It's one of those double-edged swords, and of course, like love, like rain, like a lot of these topics, plenty of artists ready to write about it because, well, of course, money and I guess fame for them goes kind of hand in hand. But money's a part of everyone's life, whether you like it or not. It's important. Not even if I think it is, but and I think a lot of these songs put it in perspective relatively speaking, the different ways we use money, how we write about money. And even some of these songs aren't even about money, but I like a lot of these topics like rain, they use it for different symbolism. So I thought it was okay. Some of us have admitted maybe they haven't listened to it, but I think it'll grow on you if you do listen to it. I've listened to it about, several times. I listened to it actually in the car today. So but I thought, and I think it's actually pretty good, and I think it's one of our more diverse things. And again, I think it'll come up. I find it interesting that we start to pick and choose other people's artists to use the songs here, and so I think one of us all are kind of guilty of that on this one. So anyway, Dave, what did you think overall?
Well, I think overall, anytime we pick a theme or something like this, like you said, we never know where it's going to go. It may not be one of those playlists that has a perfect flow to it, which is okay. It might be one that is sometimes a little clunky or depending on the songs. I think overall it's a good playlist, and I have to self-confess. I already told them before we started the video. For whatever reason, this last week got away from me, and I think I listened to this a grand total of maybe one time all the way through. So we'll see how that affects my commentary on some of the songs if I can remember them that much. But again, there's some great songs on this. Anytime you pick a topic, whatever, you're going to be limited by the number of song choices. There probably are a lot of other songs that we didn't pick, as we always say. But I think this is a good collection and a good eclectic mix of songs overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a good collection. Just to point out, we're talking about money, but it's also to an extent things of value, or at least as symbols like diamonds, for instance, used in other ways. And we also have gold and things like that a little bit. So it's things of value, but predominantly money, things that could be used to exchange goods and or services. But yeah, I like it. And the thing you mentioned about the flow, and I think sometimes I focus too much on that and maybe choose a song that looking back I'm like, well, that went well with that one, but maybe I would have liked to put that one. And so this time I was a little more conscious about trying to put some interesting things. And sometimes it's just hard to follow a song, with what you have in mind, what songs you've kind of researched in advance or whatever. So
Yeah.
I like it. Great topic.
Yeah, I think you might have been right. Maybe I might regret this. That maybe if we would have went just with songs with money in it, that might have been a little more narrow focus. So that's on me. So anyway, as we kick it off, I kicked it off with "Money Machine" by James Taylor, which isn't normally a James Taylor song that most people know here. Normally doesn't sing about stuff like this. It's usually more about relationships and things of that nature. But for me, I hate to admit this. This is my favorite James Taylor song. I hate to say that because he has some great songs. But the minute I think Dave had this album and he put it on, and I was just like, this is my song. This is what I like when James Taylor does. I know it's not really what he does, but it's this funky song, and it's about money. It's about being honest, about being honest. and the Money Machine and what it's all about. And for all artists, especially musicians, money's such a huge part of it. And he's honest. And I, of course, love the lyric, I've seen fire and I've seen rain, say again, I've seen fives and I've seen tens. Just so funny, it's just such a great little clever song. So anyway, that's how I started it out.
Yeah, it is a funny song. And there were 3 albums that came out, I think, together. There was In the Pocket and Gorilla and Walking Man. And I know I've used back in the day at least a couple. I think one time, Jose, you used Family Man off one of these albums, but they're great ones. And this one is no exception. There's not a lot of more I can say. It is a funny song. And I was gonna mention that Fire and Rain line because that really stands out. It's like I think there's another song that kind of touches on this about money in the entertainment industry. But he's a guy who knows how to have fun in music, and glad you say it was a good start. It was a good start to this playlist.
Yeah, oftentimes we think of James Taylor as the singer-songwriter, and we've got that, Fire and Rain and all of those types of songs. But when he kicks it up and does a little bit of a upbeat kind of thing, and or like when he does like Steamroller or some of these other ones he's done, he can really get into that jam, and do that. And this is a great example of that where he kicks it up. When you first put this song on, though, I could have sworn maybe you put it on a tape back in the day. It just seemed that to me. And when you said I had this album, I had to second guess and think that maybe I didn't have it. And or maybe if I did, it wasn't one of the ones I listened to a lot. And that's where maybe you ripped a song off of it and said, let's put this one on. And that's maybe where I first heard it off a mixtape many years ago. But when you first put it on, I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't heard that song in 30 years or whatever, and but yeah, it was a good way to kick off the playlist. It's got a great upbeat thing to it. And again, it's probably one of those songs that people don't even know about James Taylor, right? Because it's not one of his top songs or airplayed songs or whatever. But it's a cool tune. I love it. From there, then I didn't know what I was going to start out with. I wrote down a few songs and everything, and then I think when I was looking for songs or whatever, this next one popped up, and I just, first of all, I'm not a Pet Shop Boys kind of guy. I never had an album. I probably can't name 2 or 3 songs by the Pet Shop Boys, but I knew this one because, and you're gonna have to help me, I probably should have done some research, but a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, there was a commercial on, and they played it over and over and over again. It was something where there was on like the hood ornament of a car or something. And
yeah, the guy saying, yeah.
Here's the bad part about it. When you have a commercial, you're supposed to be able to know, hey, that's a commercial for whatever, Doritos. I can't tell you the product that they were pushing on this, other than the hood ornament was singing, I got the brain, you got the brawn, let's make lots of money. And that's all I remember. But it's such a thing that I heard so often that I'm like, well, man, it's perfect for this playlist. Let's make it. And it was upbeat, and it came right after Money Machine. So I said, yeah, I'll go ahead and throw it on. But if either of you remember what that commercial was, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's what I know it from. And I think it was on it had to be during some sporting event because, of course, it was just on all the time.
Right.
All the time. And you hear that song, and initially you're like, that's pretty cool. Then of course about the 1,000th time you're like, okay, I'm sick of that guy. And it's I don't think I don't remember exactly what they were like. Maybe it was something about E-Trade or something like that. He's in the car driving down the road and has the
probably an E-Trade, something like that, where they were.
And so, but yeah, that's the only reason. And then I think I saw it in someone used it in a show or a movie. So that's the only 2 reasons I know this song as well, Dave. But believe me, surprise of the night very early when they're like, wait a minute, what? And then you're like, first of all, you're like, opportunities. What is that? And then you're like, oh my God, that's that stupid. Even though, but like you said, it works because it is a great song. You know, I have to admit, it is a great. People who were the Pet Shop Boys, I guess, knew what they were listening to because this was a song that probably came out way back in the day, and we never listened to it, but it's a great song.
I also can only think of two Pet Shop Boys songs right now. This one and West End Girls. And this one, so no, I'm not a Pet Shop Boys fan. I've heard them many times. Rachel likes their music, at least West End Girls. And but yeah, I not really my thing until I didn't realize the song wasn't called You've Got the Time, I've Got Whatever. It's opportunity, right? Like you said. And not and clearly I have never looked at played it on streaming music where I would have seen that. But that aside, it was interesting because having not really paid attention, I just kind of assumed it's kind of this thing about this guy wanting to get together with somebody else, and I didn't know if it was flirting or what it was. But when you read the lyrics, the guy's kind of a loser. It's like, my car doesn't run. I know my way around a computer and stuff like that. Like, don't get into business with this guy. So it was interesting I appreciate the song more now, knowing that it was interesting. So I went on to something I remember from the 70s, the OJs, which I don't know. I have never owned an OJs record. And this may be one of the few songs I know well. I guess if you played something, I go, oh, yeah, that's them. Okay. The song's called For the Love of Money. And basically, it's you'd recognize a money, 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 money song. You'd recognize it's been used in a ton of things. And it basically, it's like, yeah, money you can buy some good things, but everything else is like how people sell out, sell their bodies, just do, you'll steal from a brother, you'll steal from a friend, so I thought it was kind of important to get that element of money in there too.
Yeah, it's a song that I had forgotten about, and when you put it on, I remembered hearing it back in the day and on the radio and everything. And yeah, the OJs were big in the '70s, and again, never owned any albums or anything like that, but they had a very familiar sound. Well, they get confused with a lot of other bands. It's like, is that the OJs? Is that there were several bands in the '70s, and you're not sure which one it is, but they were good, and this was a perfect fit on the playlist. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I'm liking that Mike has, and I think we all do this, but I think that at times that we introduce ourselves back to artists that, believe me, may make an appearance once or twice when you're listening to the radio. Back in the day, we weren't listening to you listen to certain AM, FM stations. They're gonna play your same classic rock or like all of the AM station. You'd hear this one on occasion because it was popular. But as we delve deeper into these playlists, uh, the OJs and the Isley Brothers, and guys who were all making this kind of music back then, and making a contribution. We weren't going out buying their albums or anything, but we're appreciating them now, and we should. So yeah, I thought and like you said, people have used it. We've all heard the song before. It's instantaneously recognizable. I find it funny that in a lot of these songs, cliches of money always seem to come up in a variety of these songs, and well, it works, and my next choice, Money Talks, but that's by Money Talks by Alan Parsons. See, I was guilty taking one of Dave's, Alan Parsons. Goudie, I know Goudie because I know this song because Gaudie's big. He's he's an architect from Barcelona. If you've ever been to Barcelona, in Barcelona he was huge. I mean, and of course his most important thing is called the Sagrada Familia. It's that chapel. Anytime they show a movie or something of Barcelona, they'll show that chapel Sagrada. He's the one who started it. On the other side, they've refurbished it, and then there's other parts in the city where he had different aspects of his work. Anyway, because of that, I listened to this album quite a bit. And of course, it fit the topic, money talks, and I think it's just a standard good Alan Parsons song. Nothing. It's a little different than most of his other songs, but I thought it kind of fit in here, especially after the OJ's. Not as funky as the OJ's, obviously, but thought it fit right in here.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I never had this record, but I remember, I actually remember the scene where I saw it in a record store. And at that time, I'd kind of lost, I hadn't bought an Alan Parsons record in a while. And I saw that. And I knew about Gowdy. I always thought that was interesting how he would use like organic shapes and stuff, and really interesting thing for him to be so revered, for this different type of style. But this song, I knew this song, and I don't know where, because I didn't have this record. So all I'm thinking is maybe you guys put this on a playlist, or I guess it's possible it was on an album rock station at some point. But I knew it. And I'd forgotten all about it till you put it on here. I think it fits in well with the others because, again, it's like he touches on music and the industry and how it rules things. And I'm sorry, music, sort of money in the music industry, entertainment industry. And then the bad things and the good things. And it's just money is pervasive in your life.
I'm a big Alan Parsons fan, and this was an album that I didn't have in the day, and so I'm trying to think of where I got the music. I acquired a couple of songs off this album, and they were always on my playlist, but it was the song "Inside Looking Out," the one about Antonio Gaudi. And I played that song to death, and I love that song. And just they have the talking in the background, and it's just a way cool song. There's a couple of songs on this album that I think I have in my playlist stuff, but I'm not sure that I really remembered this one, or I didn't have the full album or whatever. So anytime it almost seemed like it was a new Alan Parsons song, sort of kind of to me, because I wasn't really that familiar with it. But I guess that album is probably a concept album in general. So this song probably has something to do with the whole thing with like you mentioned, with Gaudi and being an architect in Spain and everything. But yeah, if anyone gets a chance to listen to I would say it's the title track of the the Inside Looking Out song. It's way cool. Like this one too. At this point in the playlist, so we kind of did some different things, and I was just going to switch it up a little bit, or just do whatever felt natural. And I came across this Jerry Jeff Walker song, and I think I can't say that I knew the song and played it all the time, but it had money in the title, and so it was like money, and it had Jerry Jeff, two of my favorite things. So so I ended up putting it on. So it was really new to me too. So it was probably the first time I had heard it, but it has that kind of a cool little fast beat jingle, acoustic guitar kind of thing that Jerry Jeff is so good at. And the message of it is, I makes money, money don't makes me, or doesn't make me. I make money, but it doesn't define me. It's not who I am. I could care less about that part of it. And so thought I'd throw that on. And if you see right here to this side here, got a picture of Jerry Jeff there. Still miss him. He died a few years ago, and just incredible artist.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's I like the message, and I think it's a message that we all tend to believe, that we think we live by. I makes money, money doesn't make me, even though we know that that's not always true sometimes. But it's a good message, and like you said, I like the song, the melody, and how it moves along, and how quick paced it is. And yeah, it switches up completely from the other thing. I call this the country and western portion of our program. We go from this to Grateful Dead song, and then a Joe Strummer song, which don't even sound all country and western, but this kind of kicks it off, and it's a jingle that I enjoy. I think it might be my favorite on this, just because it's so different and it's so upbeat, and you want to believe that make money doesn't make me, but I don't know if that's always true. So
Yeah, I think if anybody could, well, not anybody, but I think Jared Jeff Walker, I would believe that more about. I mean, if you look at his career, and he's certainly had some songs that are well known, but he has kind of stayed, or had kind of stayed true to his roots and stuff. He didn't necessarily go out there and try to write hits. He did what he wanted to. And I also appreciate you, Dave. You've put several of his songs on here, and on these playlists. And I thought I knew Jerry Jeff Walker's music because I had one record, Viva Terlingua, which is very well known, but it's not. It's far from all he did. I like on this one. In addition to the message, I like he boy, I don't know how it's almost like a tongue twister, how he sings those like really fast, those little syllables, and that's really impressive. I'm certain I couldn't do that. And there's another song, I forget which, maybe a couple that he kind of does that you've put on these playlists. So I do like the upbeat element of it, and I kind of tried to follow it with something similar. We moved from money to diamonds, so I put on Grateful Dead, Dupree's Diamond Blues, so I'm sure we all know this song. Jose could probably talk more about this, but when I looked for what version to put on, a lot of people indicated there were two different shows, probably more, but the same year at the Fillmore, East and West, and people recommended those live versions. But I went with the studio one because it's faster, and so it kind of seemed to fit in better with the previous song. And the song's it's a cautionary tale, and it's funny even though somebody dies. But I guess the two lessons is don't go to a jewelry store with a gun, and jelly jelly roll will drive you stone mad. If you don't know what that means, do a little research. But yeah, not much more I can say about it. I don't know if this is the first Dead song I put on. I credit Jose with really getting me interested back in the day. I knew some of their stuff, but I would never have known this. So.
Okay, so next playlist, I'll try to find a Grateful Dead song. I don't think I've put one in yet. So, but we always love hearing the Dead, and it's good. And for the life of me, I don't remember this song. So to me, it just seemed like another new Grateful Dead song that I wasn't familiar with. But I don't mean this in a bad way, but if you've heard one, you've heard them all. I mean, when you hear the Dead, you know what it sounds like, and so it's always good. And again, I agree that, like what you said earlier, Mike. Sometimes let's find a good song that will follow, and this was one of those. I think it followed the Jerry Jeff good, and then Jose went into that one, and we kind of got into a little groove there with it. So I think it was a good choice. Again, I didn't really delve into the lyrics and what it was about. I did get a picture of, I don't even know if I can turn the right way or not. See if I turn this way, is it in the corner? Oh, right there in the corner. What is that? Yeah, that was what I downloaded, that rose and that,
The lightning bolt.
yeah, supposedly that was to represent Dupree's Diamond Blues. There was another clip, and had to do with a movie. Was it a movie or something, or was in a movie? Because there was,
Please?
for this song, Dupree's Diamond Blues,
This song's been in a movie.
because there was a little clip or showing something like some sailing across some kind of thing or whatever. And I was going to put that in the background, but I don't think I could have broken down or interpreted what it meant. So I went with the other one. But anyway, it's a cool song. I like it.
Yeah, no, this is the first time I've heard, and I'm just 3169 is a lot of people go to for Dupree's Diamond Blues, but that's one of those, classic top 10 Grateful Dead shows that people always refer to. But it's a great song. Obviously, I love the Grateful Dead. I love that song. Not much you can say. Some like JoJo, some like gold, What can you say? It's a great song, and yeah, you can find versions of it that are like 20 minutes long, different versions, different people doing it. So, and they played it quite a bit. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Obviously, I enjoy the Grateful Dead, and I'm always glad that when y'all put a different Grateful Dead song on, especially this one because this one doesn't get played, but it's an early one. Not many people know the song, but I think Phil and Friends brought it back. So anyway, as I ramble, from Dupree's Diamond, I went to Silver and Gold by Joe Strummer and the Mescaleres. It's actually, this song actually came out before he died, and it's actually Silver and Gold, and actually is a cover song. And after Joe Strummer left the Clash, he kind of went back to his roots. I think that was kind of one of many breaking points, probably for breaking up the Clash, is that he wanted to play more rock and roll-ish. Mick Jones wanted to go a different direction. Anyway, no one wants to hear that. But he played these stripped down versions, and this was an album that came out, and actually came out after. And it's, like I said, as a cover from Fats Domino. It's about, of course, because it came out and it came out after he died. It's kind of one of those like, oh my God, well, he's singing, he wants to do all these things before he dies. And he passes away before the album comes out. But a lot of those albums are really good if you like the scaled back stuff, especially from Joe Strummer from the Clash. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm glad you put this one on because well, first off, just like with Jerry Garcia in the previous song, you hear this guy's voice. If you know the Clash at all, you're like, this guy. Even if you know, should I stay or should I go? And that's it. You're gonna recognize this voice. And yeah, I miss it. He died so young. I forget what happened, but I didn't. I'd heard of this band, this group, whatever, and but I hadn't really listened to him before he passed away. And we had one trip to Europe, and my wife and I, we went to Italy. And on the way back, we got bumped off our flight in Paris and spent 3 days trying to get on another flight. And we stayed in this little hotel near Charles de Gaulle Airport, and they had a little bar nearby, and we went in, and the guy was playing this, and I'm like, I know this guy. I don't recognize the song, but does it sound like the Clash? And this is one of the songs he was playing on the sound system. I'm like, who is this? And he spoke English, fortunately, and he told me. So yeah, it's a good song, and it reminds me that I need to check this stuff out because I never did follow up and listen to more of the stuff.
Well, we do these things, and what it does for me, and I think is we not only turn each other on to different music, but we learn and we educate and stuff. So what you both just said there, I didn't know. I didn't know any of that. So I like the song, but now I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it because I'm gonna go, oh wow, that's the guy from the Clash, because I didn't know that at all. So which is cool. So I just thought this was another, weird eclectic jam band kind of thing that Jose knew about or whatever. But no, I like the song a lot.
what am I, One Note Wonder? Oh my God. Okay.
No,
I've just been pigeonholed.
I just didn't know Joe Strummer, and I didn't know that he was with the Clash. So, but now I do, and now I'll listen to it with a different appreciation. Coming off the song Silver and Gold, my first inclination was to, like Mike does, let's stay with the theme and let me find a song with silver and gold in it. And the only thing I could think of was Burl Ives, who sang Silver and Gold and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I'm not sure if that would have been so good here, Yukon Cornelius, whatever and all that. But I
Right.
decided against that. But since Mike had already put on a song about diamonds, I thought, well, let me go to the diamond list. And first I was going to put on "Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes" by Paul Simon. That was going to be my next choice, or "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" or something like that. And I don't know why, because I think we were doing that kind of country western / whatever kind of thing. I just said, well, let me throw this Joan Baez song on there that I haven't heard in a long time. But after I listened to it on the playlist, it's like, they only mention diamonds like once or twice, and it's really more about love than anything, and not really about money, so to speak. I mean, the value of love, and it's like diamonds and rust. Eventually they rust, they go away too. But it's always been a cool song and one of Joan Baez's classic songs. So figured if I was gonna ever put it on I figured we probably weren't gonna have a Rust playlist, coming up anytime. Rust never sleeps, maybe, but so thought I'd throw it on.
Oh, I thought you put it on. You probably heard the Judas Priest version more times than you probably heard
Yeah,
this version.
I
Oh,
thought about that
Lord.
afterwards. I
Right.
thought,
I'm like, well, he's putting this on because, man, we used to play. I think it was on Unleashed in the East. Anyway, it was on one of the albums. We listened to Judas Priest quite a bit, and this was one of those songs, which is funny because it's a great heavy metal song. But if you listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh, he's singing about love. And I actually had to go back. I didn't ever thought about this. It's like, did they change the lyrics from hers to his? And they did. So then you have to think, well, what's he singing? Why is this heavy metal guy singing about, a lost love and thing? Well, and if you know, you know. So anyway, Diamonds and Rust is kind of one of those songs where uh, it's a beautiful song and it works on both levels. Obviously, Joan Baez is the one, and it's a beautiful song. And when you listen to this, you're like, man, that is such a beautiful song. But of course, we've been so, you know, you associate it so much with Judas Priest. Well, I do that because I listened to it so much in my youth. That like, oh yeah, that's right. There's such a nice, beautiful version of this song. So not that Judas Priest version isn't beautiful as well.
All right, well, I'll admit it outright. I didn't even realize Judas Priest covered this song. I don't think I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
Um, I remember the song from back in the 70s, and I didn't like it because it's a downer. And where I was as a kid, it's like that wasn't my thing. And she's had other songs that were kind of like that like she covered The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, and I'm forgetting another one there, but and again, back in the day, they didn't do it for me. But in the years since, especially the last few years, I've really listened to this stuff. And this song, my understanding is it's about Bob Dylan. She said both. She's like, no, it's about my ex-husband. And then she said, okay, yeah. But the consensus seems to be it's about Bob Dylan, and he shows up in her life, or he calls her in this song years after he unceremoniously dumped her, whatever. There's more to the story, I'm sure, than that. But if you've seen any of the movies that they're both in, or their characters are both in, he wasn't always as nice to her as he could be. And this song is basically this guy shows up in her life, and he's like, I'm not nostalgic, but he's talking about all this old stuff, and she's like, memories just bring diamonds and rust, like the little gems in there, which it is money. I mean, it's value, and it's representing that, but it has the other meaning. It's like like a little shiny point, but all the other stuff is just, it's not good memories. It's rusted away. It's like it doesn't hold up. And the only other thing I didn't really think about this, the recent movie about him. It reminded me of some of the scenes in there. Like there's a scene in Washington Square, and some other things. I'm blanking out now, but I think it's a great song, and it's mournful, and that really kind of explains, if you know their story. So I went from there to, I guess it was more downbeat, but doesn't exactly flow. An Elvis Costello song off the album Spike, which is I love that album. It came out in '89, and I don't know, which is the place I was. This kind of really hit it. He co-wrote some songs with Paul McCartney that ended up on a number of albums, including this one. But this song's called Any King Shilling, and it's all acoustic, and he's backed by some Irish musicians, one of the guys from the Chieftains, some other guys I'm not really familiar with, and then I think his now ex-wife, Kate O'Riordan, who is with the Pogues. He met her, I guess, when she was with the Pogues. She was on there too, but they since parted ways. But yeah, the song, it's You know, it's longer and it is more, it is definitely a downer of a song, but I've always liked it. Just my brief understanding is it's a guy singing to a girl he's familiar with in Ireland who is a prostitute, and she's sleeping with a lot of soldiers, or at least one mentioned in the song. This guy, the singer, I don't know if I've never been quite clear. I always thought it was probably about the time of the troubles and the strife between the IRA and Northern Ireland, all that stuff. I was never really clear, and I guess I'm still not, whether he's warning her that stay at home tonight, don't go out there, stay away from the those people because something's going to happen, and whether he's saying this as a soldier or as a Irish, partisan, whatever. I'm not really clear on it. Doesn't really explain. He's just saying nothing is worth going out there right now because of what's going to happen. No king shilling will be worth it. So.
Well, I always like when you throw some Elvis Costello out at us, because again, I didn't know any of it in the day, and I like his music. I liked how you stayed kind of low key on coming out off the Diamonds and Rust and everything. I mentioned already I only listened to the song one time, so it's one of those things where I'm actually excited about going back and listening to this playlist again. And this is probably one of the songs I want to listen to a little bit more intently and listen to the lyrics and what it was about. I did throw on the picture there of Elvis Costello, and above over here the King Shilling or the Queen Shilling or whatever it was. A couple pictures of that, but no, I think it flowed real well, and I always appreciate when you throw some Elvis Costello at us.
Oh yeah, it's a great song. And I obviously Elvis Costello is one of our fan favorites on these playlists. And I was just reading about that King Shilling because initially I didn't kind of know what the song was about, and I didn't really look it up. And initially I thought it was kind of like what Mike was saying, where it was more of a cautionary tale also. But I guess it's about when you take the King Shilling, you enlist into the army. And so I guess he's kind of worried about, giving them like, hey, you know what happens when you take the King Shilling, when you join the army, this is some of the things. And so it's kind of interesting song. I guess it was collaborated with Paul McCartney. I'm just not, believe me, Mike, I don't know anything about it, but I'm looking on it and I'm like, oh, one of the 6 songs that he helped write.
Yeah, they had a few on here. I'm not sure this one or not. I know Veronica, if you're familiar with it, and another song, and then they did some Flowers in the Dirt. They did some songs in there, including a duet, sort of, kind of like a call and response. He and Paul go back and forth, I think. So.
So yeah, so it's a beautiful song, and like I said, it took me a little while to, like I said, and that's what I kind of like sometimes about these is that you take the extra time to listen to the lyrics and try to figure out, well, what's this song about before actually going and looking it up, and did I, was I on, or did I come up to something else? So from there, I went with Lady Gaga. I have to admit that I just sometimes put on Lady Gaga just because I want to hear what she has to offer, because I kind of miss that era. Obviously, I'm not buying any Lady Gaga, but I like to put them on here and listen to them and see why people, again, I'm one of those who are like, well, I like some of her stuff, I admit it, and so I like to hear other stuff. And Diamond Heart was on there, and it's one of it's kind of a simplistic song about not about money, but I guess for lack of a better phrase, is what the prostitute with the heart of gold kind of mentality, where this is, what's the lyric or the chorus says, she may not be flawless, but she has a diamond heart, And so it's a beautiful song. I'm not going to get overly excited. I like it and I enjoy it, but I thought, it's a fun song.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I've heard this on the radio, not lately, but it's again, it's one of these situations where I don't necessarily know the lyrics because I wasn't necessarily into Lady Gaga, but now it's on here. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's like she's she's kind of been messed around badly by a guy early in her life, and so now she's doing it this way. One question I have is, or she's taking advantage of the situation and taking money from other guys. One thing I'm wondering, I kind of listening to it, I kind of had this thought when she talks about diamond heart or whatever. Again, the heart of gold, sure. Is it that she does have this good kernel down in her, despite the rough exterior and her or how she spends her time or works? Or is it like the diamond is super hard and it's like her heart has closed up and she's kind of taking some of this out and using other people? So I don't know. It's something that occurred to me. I'm curious what you guys think.
Go
I
ahead.
didn't think about it that way at first, but that I think that's maybe a good analogy. Is that because of her situation, she's the diamond part is just I'm special, I'm whatever, but it's also that the hardness of a diamond. That's a good analogy to push out all the bad and all the things she's doing. Anyway,
Yeah, no, I agree. I kind of like the different viewpoint over, yeah, that it's become hardened as a diamond over the years because of all the things that's happened to her. But also, uh, she still has that diamondness to it, that I'm still worth something, priceless. I'm still that person. So who would think that we'd be interpreting Lady Gaga songs? I'm just throwing that out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, none of us probably said we have, but when we throw, we 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 can't not appreciate some of these artists that we have put on, like when you put on Billie Eilish, or when some of these other ones. It's like, man, they really do bring it, and they even if they weren't ones that we were listening to all the time, they have a tremendous artistic value in their songs and in what they do. And Lady Gaga is a great example of that, right? Even though she was in her career, she probably went down a certain path in her career, and then with all the face makeup, all the stuff that she did with that, and then she later on took all that off, right, and said, "This is just me, Lady Gaga," so yeah, probably worth exploring some more of her music for sure. From there, again, kind of went back to the country thing. I don't know why, but this is a song that I've just liked for many, many years. I'll tell you the origin of how I came across it. It's a song by the Gatlin Brothers, "All the Gold in California." Um, Oftentimes sung in an acoustic kind of a manner, and a cappella kind of manner without instruments. And when I was in high school, I was in choir and in a quartet and in a barbershop quartet, but we did other things as well. And it was, me, Carl Thompson, George Davis, I think Alan Roy was the other one. Um, and we would just pick some other songs. And this is one of the songs that we ended up doing, oftentimes just out of when we were out somewhere, we were doing something, we would just pick it up kind of spontaneously, not necessarily in a concert. We were just on the street with our group or whatever, and then we'd start jamming into this song, "All the Gold in California." And so that's where I first came across it, and then it's just, I probably know their top 5 or 6 hits or whatever, but this is one where it's one of their most popular songs. It has the word gold in it, and it says, "All the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills in somebody else's name." So anyway, I've always liked it, loved singing it when I was in high school.
Yeah, no, it's a great little Larry Gatlin song. I probably never had heard it until now. I don't know if I ever remember y'all singing it. If I did, I don't remember. But it's a great song, and like I said, it's all the cliches that you find in a thing. What would you do for X amount for something X amount? It's always something that money always poses a threat. Poses a question. And these guys, the song nails it. And it's a great song. Obviously, they're popular for a reason, but it's interesting. I'd never heard that story. So yeah, I think I remember you doing Barbershop Quartet, but I don't remember this song. So anyway,
Yeah, I didn't know the song. I know I think you put some Gatlin Brothers on before. I'm pretty sure at least one. And it's, it's a good song. It makes me think of people going to California in search of gold, but largely the people who got the gold were, they were the ones that became the bosses, and trying to get into that circle was really hard, And this I don't know if this is more about entertainment and going out there and or what, but there's some truth there for sure. So I kind of switched back to Diamonds. I guess I was fixated on Diamonds. I had a couple other songs I was going to put on. There was going to be a Kanye West song here, but it just really didn't fit. He did the song Blood Diamonds, which I didn't know very well, but I was like, that's a good song. However, this isn't it. But this is a song I really like. It's Father John Misty. I put a few of his songs on now, and it's Disappointing Diamonds Are the Rarest of Them All. So yeah, if you were to say this song is not in any way about money or currency or whatever, I guess it is, again, diamonds represent what they are, but this song, I guess in a way, it's like Father John Misty's look at a love song in his style of a relationship that really is not so great, but like he says, is everybody's story had to be the greatest story ever told or whatever. Lots of interesting similes in there, comparisons, oh, what is it? Like like the something in my eye, the tick in my eye or whatever. This our love will never die, things like that. By now, if you've heard any of these playlists, you shouldn't be surprised that he's not really known for his upbeat songs or light subjects. I do like this song. I think it's funny in a way that he approaches it this way, even though it's pretty dark, But I also like the influence. You hear a lot of other musicians' influence on him. And this, I feel like I can really hear the Beatles, maybe ELO, I don't know, but definitely the Beatles, to me. So that's all I got.
Well, this is not the first Father John. I think this might be the fourth time or something, third or fourth time. And so we're starting to get used to that style. And like you said in your commentary, oftentimes we'll make fun of something, but it'll be in a kind of a dark way or in a humorous way. Again, this is another one that I need to go back and listen to again. I liked it the first time I heard it. Just seems like I need to explore a little bit more about. What I need to do is I need to go to my playlist or whatever and just look them up. I think we all do this sometimes, but we don't have enough time. But just I need to go ahead and type in Father John Misty and then listen to his top 10 or 15, songs or whatever to get a better appreciation of his body of work, as opposed to just the 3 or 4 songs that we've heard because Mike's turned us on to them. But like I said, I like the song. I just have to go back and explore it a little bit more and explore more of his music. I did put a picture of him over here. Where is it? Yeah, right there. So a lot of the pictures that I saw of him, he's wearing sunglasses. He's got a longer beard sometimes. Looks kind of scraggly or whatever. But this is a good clean shot of him.
Just real quick, Jose, I will warn you that if I do the same thing, I like to have a playlist of his music, but you have to be in the right frame of mind because it is kind of, some of it's a downer. There's some great songs, but I have to take him in smaller doses. I really respect his songwriting and stuff, but some of it's pretty depressing.
Yeah, outside the exposure that you've given us to us, I'm always like, he has great songs, he has some clever lyrics, but man, I'd never heard of this. This is different. So the other day, and I love to throw out those messages, but I saved this one. I'm watching Sports Center of all things, and this guy's like, "Hey, he was talking about some highlight." He goes, "Yeah, it's like that Father John Misty song," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" That guy just said what?
Really?
And I was like, oh my God, so he does exist in the outside world and he's hip. I don't know how hip that guy is, but it was just like, oh, there you go. See?
Now, did he say, I heard it on this Three Old Friends, the music never ends? That's- No.
These old geezers have been telling me about music. No, but it was funny. You know, I love moments like that. Like, you know, we always throw these out that, you know, when we're walking around, you hear the songs that we play on. And man, on Sports Center of all places, you know, I usually watch it early in the morning just to catch up sometimes. And all of a sudden, this guy's like, yeah, it's that Father John Misty song. And I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. And so it was interesting. So anyway, it's like Dave said, you know, you sometimes might want to go down the rabbit hole and start listening to it more, which, and I think this is what these playlists does. It's like the Lady Gaga, it's like all these songs that we put on here. We just try to expose it the way we try to expose it, because this is really our only avenue, so to speak, minus, you know, we're not all flipping on the radio when we get into our cars. Let's just put it that way. I know y'all aren't, unless you're listening to talk radio, you usually listening to your music. So this is a good way to expose
Sports
it.
talk radio is usually what I listen to.
Right. I'll listen to sports talk or I'll listen to my playlist. I like my playlist. So but then that's why these things work so much. So anyway, Father John Mason. There's my Sports Center slash Three Old Friends music never end worlds colliding. I went with I just went with kind of simplistic. The Big Money Rush is one of those songs that was played quite a bit. I think Tom played actually quite a bit. Tom Doble, our Rush, who was our Rush aficionado, and it's a good song. It's like a lot of these songs, anti-corporation, big money, who's running the world and stuff like that with its Rush. And I always appreciate these because what you always appreciate about Rush is you just, because you know the song so well, you can focus on certain things and you can focus on Neil Peart's drumming throughout that song, and you're just like, man, that guy was kind of a genius. So anyway, it's one of those songs. Take it or leave it. A lot of people didn't like this Rush era. You know, you can hear the synthesizers in there and stuff like that. But there's a lot of hidden gems there, no pun intended.
No, I had no problem with that era. I get to see him one time, and it was Grace Under Pressure. And by that point, like, what was the album? Maybe with the Signals, but there were a lot of synthesizers by that point. And that was a great show. I regret that I never had a chance to see him again. And this is one of those bands I really, it's a shame, you know, they're not still doing their stuff. Neil died, obviously, and but this song, and I would add to what you said, you can listen. Their music is, I don't know the right way to say it, but timeless. It's like this song definitely applies right now. I mean, money and power is not a small thing, and so I'm trying to see if I remember the video for this, but I feel like there was one. But anyway, whatever. Yeah. Good, good Rush. Love them.
Yeah, you know, with Rush, you're either in or out, right? It's one of those things. That's probably why they didn't get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame till later. And um, but like Jose said, you know, you focus on Neil Peart and him being gone. I saw something that came up on my Facebook feed the other day, and it was like the last show of Rush or whatever. And it was like 2015 or something like that. So I mean, they stopped touring quite a bit and early, you know, and for whatever reason, for health reasons or whatever. But so it's not like they continued even towards the end, like a lot of the bands do. This is a great song. It's was it off like Power Windows or something, or can't remember
Yeah.
what
That's right.
Oh,
it was
sorry.
off of, but yeah, I remember having the album that this was on and listened to it back in the day, played the crap out of it. And so it was good to remember and bring back that tune, especially fitting the theme for the playlist and everything. So never apologize for having a Rush song on our playlist, that's for sure. From there, you know, I was kind of running out of what songs I was going to do, and I think when I actually put the song on, I was going to put Money by Pink Floyd on just to kind of seal the deal. And I don't think we've put Money on yet. We've had a Pink Floyd thing. We've done some songs and whatnot, so that would have been a good last song for me. But then instead, I switched it up because I just got done watching a documentary, and So It Goes by Billy Joel documentary, two-parter. And so I watched that, and I just watched it, and this song Easy Money was off that Innocent Man album, and I mean, it was a great album, but it got some critical reviews as well, that he'd gone back to doing the 50s kind of doo-wop stuff or whatever. But it was a big hit, smash hit album. It was during the MTV days. It had Christy Brinkley with in one of the MTV videos, because he was married to her at the time. And this is a song again that wasn't one of the top 4 or 5 hit songs off that album, but it's a way cool song called Easy Money. And because I listened to that documentary and listened to it recently, I said, man, this is a cool song. I need to put it on the Money playlist song. And so kind of went good after Rush, maybe not as high of energy as Rush, but it was still an upbeat mid-tempo type song. And anyway, thought it would go well.
Yeah, I think it was written for that movie of the same name with Rodney Dangerfield. Have you ever seen that movie? It's not the greatest.
Yeah,
in the
I
world.
forgot about that.
Right, it's not the greatest movie in the world, but it's there. And Billy Joel's lucky enough to write the song for it. Yeah, it's one of those things. I also watched that the documentary as well, and it's really well done. Obviously, when they have kind of control over the documentary, it's their point of view. I'll take it, and he's pretty self-effacing for the most part. So you learn quite a bit. There's also stuff out there that they don't talk about him, but he's great. And but what I really liked about that doc is them talking about all his stuff before Innocent Man, but obviously he was, man, you forget how huge huge that album was, and how huge him and Christy Brinkley were for that little time period. We remember it because we lived through that time period, but yeah, people can't fathom that this guy was just on top of the world. I mean, this guy was the main guy. So anyway, and it's a great song. It's one of those songs that you enjoy. It's Billy Joel. What are you gonna say?
I remember this record because the whole album, because there were, like you mentioned, there were some songs in there that got played a lot. You didn't say that, but there were, and they were ones I kind of got tired of. But one thing I learned about it later, and I'm not saying I don't like the record. I like this song, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. One thing I learned about it later was he did these songs like kind of an homage to different musicians he liked. And when I heard this one, it kind of made me think of Otis Redding, but apparently it was more, he was thinking of James Brown and Wilson Pickett. And I wish I had it up on my screen, some of the others. I think the Longest Time, which I think is off this record, was, which is one of those, they played too much, but it was I think the Frankly Valley and the Four Seasons, that kind of influence. And so it's cool because, he referenced in earlier songs how, that kind of doo-wop stuff in his background and stuff, and other things like that. And so it's cool that he had the, I guess, the finances and the clout in the entertainment industry that he could do a project like this. Yeah, and I did not know that. I saw that movie. I remember it now. I could tell you the whole plot. That's on the theater. It wasn't the best. It wasn't very good.
Is
But
that the subplot one with his daughter that gets married to Taylor McGraw?
yeah, that's it. And he way overacts.
Anyway, okay. So
Yeah, no, that's it. I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just anyway. Now all I can think about is Rodney Dangerfield.
Was Joe Pesci his buddy? Was that same one?
I think you're right. I
Yeah.
think you're right. He won like the matriarch of the family or whatever was dying, and he would inherit all her fortune if he just cleaned up his act.
Right, he had 24 hours or a week or something like that.
Mm.
Can't do drugs, can't gamble, can't have sex. can't do a certain amount of stuff. So
You know, there's a very similar movie. I'm getting way off the subject. Brewster's Millions with
right, there's
Richard Pryor. There was roughly the same time. I thought that was
yeah.
interesting. Anyway,
Anyway, go ahead with your next.
anyway, enough of Rodney Dangerfield.
Never thought I'd hear a Brewster's Millions reference. And
John.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was a little bit better than this, but I don't know.
Oh.
I also saw it in the theater too. So
Old School, Caddyshack, what else?
yeah. Oh yeah. Old or not old.
I'm not old school.
Back to School.
Back to School.
Old
Yeah.
school is good song.
That's right.
All right. Well, back to the playlist. So I went. I put on XTC songs before and different type. They had different periods. Like later, there was more kind of ballady and introspective and stuff. Earlier on, they were these quirky. I don't know, you call them sort of punk, sort of new wave, and they evolved over time. So I put on different songs. So this is kind of closer to the beginning. It's called Paper and Irons, Notes and Coins, and Paper and Iron, excuse me. And it's off an album called Black Sea, which I think is a really good album. Is when they were really starting to kind of develop as musicians, but it still has some of that quirkiness. Well, they never really got rid of that. But it's just basically I was trying to bring it back to the beginning in a way. It's like earning, I guess a working class guy working for paper and iron, worried that he can feed the kids, never can quite do it. You're forced to live this life, but it doesn't sound like it's not what you say, not going to buy Eden. You're never really going to get to, in that way, paradise, or whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of end with that. I thought it wrapped it up.
Well, like I said, I thought it was a good way to end the playlist. Wasn't familiar with the song. My only exposure has been what you've exposed me to. You're good at exposing, by the way. I'm just,
Dear God, man.
let me rephrase. But you have ended a couple of playlists with XTC. I remember Wrapped in Gray was the last song, and that was a great way to end it. And I think this was a good song as well. I wasn't sure about the meaning of what paper and iron and notes and currency and all that, but it's another one I need to go back and listen to a few more times. But I thought it was a good ending.
Yeah, it was a good ending, and I think we've all been at one point in our lives, whether it was early or late, where you work real hard at some point, and then you get paid, and you're like, "Oh, this is it. This is what I work for." And you always like that sentiment. Everyone's been there at some point, we're like, "Oh, man, I work this is what I got." So it's always a good sentiment. Having said that, have I done this rant about how Mike must hate people because he's probably been championing XCC his whole life, even when we were younger, and we're just like, okay, Mike, whatever. Oh yeah, well, so we never listen, and so then now he puts them on like we're all, yeah, this was great. And you're like, yeah, dude, 40
I told you.
Anyway, I just find that always funny that we've all been there as well, where you like, aren't you guys listening to this? And we all have our we all have our groups and stuff like that, and XCC is one of them. It's like, why weren't we listening to this? Even though Mike continually told us, "Oh yeah, I have this album, let's listen to it." Oh, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah." But now we're like, "Oh yeah, these are great." So anyway, I thought again, all the songs kind of fit in there. Sure, it wasn't the most flowing per se, but I kind of like that it comes in chunks, it comes in moments, and it comes with different songs. Songs again, I think it, so to speak, checks our boxes where it exposes us to new songs. We get to listen to some of the older songs that we remember, and it just builds a new playlist that I think over time, you'll enjoy more and more. Although no one likes really to talk about money per se, especially during the bad times. So, or I need more money. So, but I enjoy the songs, all of them, and I like all the different meanings. Any last thoughts? Any last songs that you thought you might put on there? I know Grateful Dead have a song called "Money, Money." They only played like 3 songs live, and they don't. It got too close to home. But there's a bunch of songs out there about money. Welcome to the Machine, things like that.
Yeah, I had a pretty long list. Two that you might, so I remember both of them. Yeah, okay. That you might be glad that I didn't include. One is about 53 seconds long, The Money Song by Monty Python, which that's all it's about. This guy is obsessed with money to a scary extreme. And then I think it's Eric Idle. And then the other was Money from Cabaret.
Oh
The
yeah,
Money Makes the World Go Round. That was definitely on my list, but
that's all. Well, go
Well,
down.
I had quite a few that didn't make the list, and I kind of kicked myself because there were a couple right off the bat that I was going to play, and I don't know why we do this. You probably do this too, Mike and Jose, where we just go, "Yep, I'm definitely going to play that one," and then you get into the songs, and it's like, "Nope, nope, nah, it doesn't feel right," and then you don't do it. And a lot of times we use the whole cliche of it's overdone. Oh, that's been done, you know, like Money by Pink Floyd or whatever. But
Right.
two songs that really should, one of them should, both by the Beatles. Money, That's What I Want, or Can't Buy Me Love. Both of those are great money songs, right? I mean, absolutely. Now on the cheesy side, like where Mike was going, I did have Money, Money, Money by ABBA that was going to maybe put that. That's a pretty fun song, but we've already broke the code with putting some ABBA on, so that's good. But the other ones I had were Yes has a song off bonus track off Tormato called Money, and then let's see, I mentioned some of the Diamond ones. I thought about Don Henley, If Dirt Were Dollars.
Yeah.
Now and then Power of Gold by Dan Fogelberg, and maybe Heart of Gold by Neil Young. Those were the other ones I had.
Yeah. Silver and Gold by U2. I think that's been on playlist.
Neil Young did a Silver and Gold too. That was
Uh,
one of his later albums.
so yeah, so I think we had a good representation as always. I'm sure we can make up 15 more of these lists with 150 different songs about money, but I enjoy these again for the reasons I've stated. It's just that we get so much good music to listen to. So I thought a good effort by all. I'm sure we'll return with another topic soon. So I hope you all are enjoy the music.
One last thought though, if you really like it and you listen to the playlist, consider donating $1 to Three Old Friends and Music Never Ends. Got to keep that money machine coming.
No, wait. If we monetize, we may have all
I'm
kinds of
just
copyright issues.
kidding. We make nothing. We get nothing.
First $1 million.